Like posso dois, tipo, co-pilot, cara, arranja
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Microsoft Office. We are happy to have you here in such a beautiful day. We are having a breakfast with the most important topic from the data world. It's called Microsoft Fabric. I'm Ana Ionașcu, Director of Microsoft Romania, and I will do kind of MC here because the big and the most important part will do my colleagues from Microsoft and our great partner Adastra. I will start the event today with welcoming Bogdan Putinica, our General Manager for Romania and Moldova in Microsoft.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I think a little bit like in a disco club with this light. Great to be here. Great to see the room full. Probably the topic is very important and very hot in today's technical landscape. We are having here a joint event, Microsoft Specialists, together with our partner, Adastra, which is one of the largest partners in the world when it comes to data and Azure. And particularly, you will see the topic is around how we can use Azure, the technology and the cloud and the data facilities that Azure gives to companies. And why? I think cloud, and you probably saw Microsoft communication style and messages and titles that we are putting out into the media. It's all about cloud. Not only that, it is an absolute superb technical infrastructure solution. Gives a lot of benefits to the companies. And I think the point of discussing technology is not about just having fun and enjoying the latest R&D developments. And Microsoft is pretty good at putting products into a lot of products into the market very quickly. Also about how this actually helps companies achieve more economical advantages. Always telling my teams, before we start selling, actually, we have to tell people and help people understand how technology can help their businesses. Otherwise, the sell is just like, I don't know, buying water from Mega or getting an ice cream in the weekend. The point of today's event is actually to help you get a couple of insights, maybe inspiration about how you can use data, how you can use Azure in your own companies, how you can leverage Fabric, which is, by the way, a great product, and how you can connect those dots together with us and with Adastra working together. I hope that you are curious. I hope that the coffee was good and plenty. I missed the breakfast due to a couple of accidents on National Road 1 already in the morning. But we will be here today, me, my team, Adastra, to help you with these kind of questions, with the dialogue, with the curiosity, with how you can actually use this technology in your company. So be open, leave your phones in the bag, ask questions, try to see how those points connect with your business. And for partners at Adastra, welcome. It's great to have you here. I hope that you'll have a great day together with us. Let's start. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that will animate the room, of course. Great speech. I will follow with Marius Maslow, the CEO of Adastra. I will let you tell some things and thoughts about what Data Fabric means.
Thank you, Anna, and a big thank you, Bogdan, for invitation today. I need to say I met a couple of Microsoft leadership teams across the region, and the treatment we are receiving from you guys is awesome. So, and I believe that it's the same when it comes to your customers. So, really, great job done. So, probably at the beginning I need to fix one thing. So, who knows the Microsoft logo? Who knows the Microsoft product? Who knows Adastra? That is a problem. So give me 5 minutes just to explain that who we are, where we're coming from. So there is some laptop. Okay. Here, so. Well, so the story is quite simple. So there is a common denominator in everything what we do. It's the data. It's a customer data. Ideally, when it's very, very data rich. We like the big data challenges, and we build a business around helping you to get better in many areas and in many directions, business areas, business directions, using your data. So currently we are IT service company which is focused on data, and AI is a must because these things are connected, well connected. I need to say that the job, if I'm Microsoft guy, I would be proud of two things. The ecosystem of the product and services which has been built around the data management, and it's not just Azure Fabric, but it's more, and how it's well connected to the world of AI and currently world of Gen AI, but still the AI piece of world is so super important, even it's not the most new part of the Microsoft offering. So let's imagine that when you are facing any kind of data challenges, we are here to help you at this, I call it like strategic visioning. So when I'm trying to become data-driven company, many companies already are. Yeah? So you don't need this kind of service, but there are still some industries not equipped so well. So we are helping them to start the data journey. Everything what we do currently is in cloud. I'm happy to hear, our Canadian colleagues, our North American colleagues, okay, you are late. It's there. Yeah? So also in Europe, where we are slightly beyond in cloud adoption. Not agree currently because all the new projects we are starting are about implementing in the cloud, migrating, etc. So and it's different world. Yeah? So there are many new topics you need to touch. So we can navigate through the whole journey. Probably the strongest practice is at the end the data engineering. Once we have a strategy, one we have architecture, one we have all the use cases which we like to implement. Then the biggest piece of work is data engineering. But I would like to stress out that never forget about the data governance. You are a data-rich industries. I've seen the list of the companies. So, and many times you are part of the multinational companies where someone on a head office level is asking how many active customers you have, and these simple questions with quite challenging answers. And data governance it's typical the answer for it. And yes, we have also the strong practice around how to use effectively data for many industry specific use cases. And this is maybe what I haven't touched yet. Let's don't consider Adastra as a pure software engineers coding from each and every morning to tonight. We have a very deep understanding of many industries. So we are also partners to map these business needs with these capabilities given by technologies we are going to talk about. So let's see us somewhere in between of the business consulting and the data consulting. Good. Where we are coming from, yes, I don't speak Romanian, but there are a couple of folks in Adastra who are speaking Romanian. We have a couple of projects here in the region for a decade, so we are not new in a club. And thinking of establish the regular office, you just need to take some time, funding, budget approvals, etc. And have a proper person who will lead this. Yeah? But
office in Romania.
We should have. They are thinking to have. And it was a promise given to you guys, so we need to stick to key promises. So we are international company. Our European operations are spread across multiple locations: Frankfurt, Prague, Bratislava, Vienna, Sofia, mainly North America. Slightly different story, but we have our biggest office is based in Toronto. And we also built some offshore capabilities, mainly for the customers in Western Europe and North America in Thai, and I'm missing the fresh dot in India, so we need to upgrade. So yeah, approximately more than 2,000 people spread across the world, majority in Europe. You, the closest office is obviously currently Sofia and Bratislava. Well, we are not new to Microsoft. We are really, we always try to play these games on a local and group level, I would say, to understand the head office level needs, understanding local market-specific needs. And this is the same how we are dealing with Microsoft. So really being recognized on a group level, but having a decent local relationship, understanding the local specific needs. So all the badges in terms of what we achieved in collaboration with Microsoft, who is recognized as our strategic partner, and I believe that we are also recognized as a strategic partner to Microsoft. This is a proof that they asked us to join this Fabric event, and this is probably what I'm most proud of. If we have a next slide, we are part of the Fabric community, and just the 15 companies across the world. So really, it's still kind of brand new technology or brand new set of technologies, but we were already part of this very small group with many projects behind. So we have understanding of the concepts, technology, solution, and etc. So maybe last question, it's still quite new. So the overall experience it's growing across the partner ecosystem and the customers, and awesome event. Like I like this format the most because we can be like really in touch. But you would like to move forward. There will be a community. There will be a conference dedicated to Fabric, European-wide in Stockholm. So after summer is over, you would like to cool down and you would like to update on what's going new. This is an invitation from Adastra and from the Microsoft to join and enjoy the morning session where the menu is combined with a very decent sweets and these small things. And I also believe that also the information menu will be worth to you guys. And let's make it as much interactive as possible. So please don't hesitate to ask questions in any language. We'll try to respond. Thank you.
Like to invite on the stage our speakers. So maybe Sorin, if you can come first and continue your slides, please.
Sorin was perfectly wealthy yesterday evening.
I can get perfectly. The slides were amazing.
I don't know what happened in the night, so we cannot do it with Sorin. It's our guru for data and AI, and we have to have him here. He already saw some Microsoft Fabric implementations, and he has real knowledge about the subject. Please, Sorin.
Right. So behind this mask is still me, even though it is not the best. But yeah, I'm Sorin Pește. I'm a cloud solution architect. I've been with Microsoft for about 13 years, working in the data and AI domain. So I'm going to do two things in my section of the talk. I'm going to do kind of a quick overview of Fabric for those of you who don't know nothing about it, like 10 minutes. And then I'm going to go through the new announcements that we had on Fabric at Build last month. And obviously also answer questions about some of the things you may want to know, including roadmap. Then Lubos and Mariusz will take it away. We'll give you more insights about how you can actually do a project and how they actually tackle these kinds of projects if you're interested in learning how to do an actual project on using Fabric, and also some technical demos, live demos that Mariusz will show. Right, so I'll get through the why first, very quickly. There is no shortage of options when we talk about analytics, big data analytics, cloud scale analytics. There are 50,000 options for everything from data storage, lakehouse storage, engines, big data processing engines, BI tools, cataloging, governance, all of this stuff. So there's like 50 options for each one. I don't think we've gotten anywhere close to like JavaScript frameworks landscape yet. Those are probably still more than this, but you're not spoiled for choice, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. One is that you have options, but you might actually not know what to do. There is quite a lot of information online that may be incomplete or outdated. And if you pick something, you're usually kind of invested in it for at least a medium term, right? So choose wisely is not a very actionable result when you have this in front of you. So what Microsoft has done is actually tried to maybe narrow down the options. Obviously, we can't really offer everything under the sun. A lot of these companies are partnering with us, and they can deploy their solutions in Azure, including a partner offered solution and managed solution. But Microsoft has actually tried over the years, since we had the cloud platform, to offer one or more options for each of those building blocks for a modern data analytics architecture, from event ingestion, data processing transformation, machine learning, discovery, governance, data modeling, and then dashboards reporting, away from raw data to hopefully insights for the business, right? So we haven't actually been short of options, which again, it's great that you have options. We had a bunch of iterations or incarnations of this over the years. We had one around Azure SQL data warehouse and HD Insight, and Data Factory Gen 1 for ETL and ELT for a while. Then we kind of transitioned to a solution that was more towards going towards Databricks, which is a first-party solution in Azure. Some of you already use it. But still, like separate services for machine learning, data exploration, Data Factory, and so on. A couple of years back, we kind of integrated most of the left side of the picture into one product, which is Synapse, Azure Synapse, which is platform as a service, kind of a solution for doing everything from ingest and preparation to modeling and serving, not necessarily visualization, and also not storage was still kind of a separate thing to Synapse, right? And going through all of these options is great, but except you have to run like 5 different services, and each one has to be secured separately. It has to you have to understand how it works, and each one you have to pay for separately. And each of those solutions, even with Synapse, they have different pricing models. The pricing model for Synapse is quite complex. Maybe you've seen it. This is like a platform as a service. This is platform as a service. This is software as a service, right? Power BI. So kind of a mix and match, and it's not really easy or predictable to understand how much something is going to cost you. You can do it, but it's not straightforward. And obviously, people were asking about why not have a single service with a single product, SaaS product, software as a service, with a single pricing model, with a single philosophy related to compute and storage, and basically you pay for some capacity, and then that capacity you can use it for all of the building blocks that you've seen there, from ingesting data, prepping, transforming, serving, building machine learning models, and so on, right? This is much more predictable in terms of costs. It's much easier, I would say, to optimize costs as well, right, than in the previous paradigm. And we also added a bunch of other features on top that probably will never make it to the Synapse and the previous versions of the products. Even though those products still exist, they're not going away. They are. We don't really invest that much in them in terms of new features. I mean, so that's Fabric. Who has actually used Fabric? And even if you just had a quick demo, like you tried it. So there are some people who, okay, we don't count. So if you've never seen Fabric, did you actually share with sound? Do you know, Mariusz? Right. We don't have, maybe just do a quick reshare with sounds. I forgot to tell you before. Yeah, go ahead. So kind of a quick overview as to what using Fabric. Now, I think you're supposed to share again in the meeting with sound. Okay. I'll just go from the beginning. It's like 1 minute.
Copy of Los Angeles. Creative professionals have all the tools they need, all in one SaaS experience to reduce the cost and effort of integration. Features like direct link load in Power BI, which provides a lazy, fast, and saving time and cost while providing data insights. It's intelligent and then securely flows the Microsoft 365 applications we'll use every day.
This is Apache Spark. Okay.
There is echo.
Okay, it just picks up. Okay, sorry guys. So serverless compute, the compute engines that we offer out of the box in Fabric are Spark. We have a T-SQL serverless engine where you just run T-SQL queries. We have a KQL. This is comes from Fusto query language. This is mostly used for querying telemetry data, so like time series data that you may have from logs or from sensors, and those are better suited for those kinds of data that continuously come in. And the analysis services engine, which is kind of a generic name at this point for the analytics engine that we have in Power BI. Right, so column store in memory engine that is able to process large amounts of data for BI for decision support needs. And on top of that, we have the OneLake. We have, like I said, workspaces. We also have data domains now that are kind of a subset of workspaces. You may have a larger domain with multiple workspaces, all secured the same way. And the data is actually stored in Parquet format today. We have already announced support for Iceberg. I'll talk about that in a bit. But the format is open. It is interoperable. There are quite a lot of tools now from Microsoft, from other clouds, from open source communities that are able to read and write Delta. So you are not limited to using these engines. These engines are just built in and you can use them from the capacity. But if someone else is using, I don't know, Presto or some other big data analytics engine, as long as it can read Delta, and most of the big ones now can do it, you can just read and write that data. Keeping with the theme of one copy, we provide the option to do shortcuts from other storage types that are not OneLake. It can be even a normal Azure storage, Amazon S3 or Google buckets. So instead of just copying that data over, if you have some data that is not in OneLake, and for whatever reason you don't want to bring it in OneLake, you can create shortcuts and they can essentially be seen local there. So you can just interact with them like with any table. These have to be, currently, they have to be Delta format. That will change at some point, but currently they have to be Delta format and can actually save you the pain of copying and keeping data in sync across clouds. Okay, yeah, so like I said, persona optimized experience. You'll see different things in the UI depending on persona that you choose. Will you talk about Direct Lake a bit more later, or is it when you do the BI stuff, or should I talk to you about it?
You can talk about this.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So this is a feature that is now present in Fabric, where if you have some data in your lakehouse, in your tables, in your warehouse, in your tables, and views and so on, if you want to expose it to a BI model, before this, you have two options. You have import, where essentially you just connect to the data and load it into
Continue.
So you just load the data from the warehouse or lakehouse once a day, once an hour, whatever, and you put it into the Power BI in memory analytics engine. It's really fast for a lot of data, but you have duplicative data, right? So it's in the warehouse, it's now in the Power BI as well. You have to keep it in sync, you have to secure it twice, and so on, right? And then you have the other option, which is direct query, which is basically just Power BI engine handing over a query whenever the user opens and reports. Power BI engine hands over a query to some external service, analytical service, like it could be those Spark engines, it could be that SQL serverless endpoint, it could be even Azure SQL, right? Which is real time. So every time you open a report, the latest data, but it's really slow. It's loading data from the source. Maybe your queries are not like very simple, especially if you have a lot of data and like, I don't know, Snowflake join or something like that. This will take time, right? So this is usually only recommend this direct query mode operational reports. So you know, have that data. And now we have direct lake mode, where essentially what happens is that the tables in one lake, in that Parquet Delta Lake format, can be queried by the Power BI engine directly. So essentially, the one lake format, the Delta Lake format in one lake, acts as the storage layer for your Power BI reports. So this should be the best of both worlds, right? Because you don't need to import, but at the same time, it's really fast, right? So kind of the best of these two. There are some limitations. Maybe you've seen them. If you want to discuss them with me, we can discuss them. So there are some things that today you cannot do in this format. But if you want to build reports and not have duplicate and move data around from Lakehouse or warehouse to Power BI and security in both places and pay for the storage twice and so on, you may go with direct lake. Okay. Yeah, Copilot in Fabric. There are a few things. So we have an AI assistant in Fabric in all the experiences that you've seen. So data engineering, data science, Power BI, all of this stuff has its own Copilot that kind of helps you, the engineer or the BI user and so on, do things with natural language interaction. They have different capabilities. They have different limitations today and different requirements. So, for example, you can have a experience where you have a guided machine learning model creation experience to create a machine learning model on some data in your lakehouse. And someone else who's doing Power BI reports, they can ask Power BI, they can ask the Power BI Copilot to create a report for them. Or some data engineer who is supposed to run some sort of a query, they can write the query, obviously, or they can just say, just give me all the top 10 most loyal customers that bought at least, I don't know, 10 VIP products in the past 6 months, right? And they generate and run the query for you.
Any business person can just ask in natural language the data.
So the one that we currently have earmarked for business people is the Power BI one, just because it's more like non-technical user friendly. I wouldn't not expect a business person to go to the Fabric, the Copilot for TSQL, for instance, and run and ask it and run a query. But we do have some solution for that. You'll see that in a minute. So I'll talk very quickly about what we announced at Build. We announced a lot of things at Build related to Fabric. I'll just highlight the most important topics. So this was the last time. This was the last month. Sorry, we had our Microsoft Build conference and we announced some new features in Microsoft Fabric. As you might expect, the new features are all kind of preview, meaning they're not fully featured yet. Let's put it like that. But there are some things that we are trying to do to simplify some specific scenarios and some others that are designed to just make the things faster. And one of them is real-time intelligence. I'm not sure how many people are actually doing real-time. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Fabric. Like, do you do any sort of real-time pipelines with, I don't know, log data, sensor data, things like that? So the experience previously was kind of in multiple places. You needed to have a sort of a real-time pipeline to load the data from whatever it was. You needed to store it somewhere, and then you needed to go and create some sort of a dashboard for it, or maybe do some changes on the fly. So this now is done in one place in this kind of real-time hub. So we'll try to make this experience easier. I'll show it really quick because I think it's interesting. I don't know about sound. I have sound again. Yeah, this is my final video. Can I just enable sound one more time, or how should I do this? I kind of wanted to have this with sound. Ale băgat în poli. Deci văd, trebuie să dau drumul la play. Pot să dau share cu sound? Cel mai bine așa, nu? Dați-mă.
What's already saying is that the step forward with this real-time interaction is something that usually with the data we have to congregate a lot of applications to do this data analysis. We have it now real-time. We built on and we invested on because all the companies gave us the
share în call.
It's something that everybody's asking now, real-time data. You know, your managers for sure are asking you, I want to see the numbers for today, not for the last week, which is something that was hard to achieve. Right now with Microsoft Fabric real-time live data, it's very achievable. And I don't think Sorin need to work with sound because we did a workaround to see on both screens. That's why.
So
Do the
Yeah.
weddings.
I'll just call the sound and I'll explain. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Any questions?
Cut this. So essentially what's happening here is that you have this real-time hub. We
We don't have anything.
You don't have anything.
I have a small question.
Please.
Yep.
I understood the presentation of how that very forward AI module is capable of developing flows. Those expressed visually with can those flows be saved and given a name
I'll show that. So is it for just for you to use it later, or is it for some business person to just ask and
later as a template for?
Yeah, you can.
It can be done.
But you can also show yeah, but probably should just put the presentation again. I don't want to choose the theme. Not this one, right? I know that. We apologize for the technical difficulties. Okay, so I'll just play it. If it doesn't have sound, it doesn't have sound. So you have this.
We'll start in the real-time hub, the new central place for all your streaming data. The same way One Lake Data Hub is for your data at rest, the real-time hub is for your data in motion. Here you can see a list of all of the streams that are available within my organization. And if I don't see the stream I'm looking for, I can use the wide range of connectors to both Microsoft services and cross clouds, whether my data is streaming from Amazon Kinesis, Confluent Kafka, Google PubSub, or Azure Event Hubs. I can easily connect and bring it into the real-time hub. There are even connectors to bring and change data feeds from database sources like Azure SQL or MySQL. In this case, I'll connect to my Azure SQL CDC feed, which represents all the changes in my customer stores. In just a few clicks, I can add the data stream to the real-time hub. Now I want to track deliveries from these stores. Opening a stream dedicated to the delivery feed, I see more information about the stream and where it's being used in the rest of Fabric. Now I can be proactive and track deliveries that are outside the standard delivery range. I can set alerts to monitor any event with a trip distance greater than 160 and alert me on Teams when this is detected. With integrations with Power Automate, I could also choose to kick off workflows in external systems. And with this latest update, you can even trigger actions within Fabric itself, like running a data pipeline or a notebook. I can also open the event stream and see how the data stream is being processed and routed to multiple destinations. Remember, even though these experiences are simple to use, they're built on proven Azure technologies that handle billions of queries and exabytes of data. One of my destinations is an event house, the ideal analytics engine to process data in motion, which is now generally available. Here I can use the intuitive UI and quickly query the data in my table. I'm going to use Copilot to help me understand the distribution of trip distance based on pickup location, visualized in a column chart. This can be easily pinned to a real-time dashboard, which I can share to the rest of my organization. And even if users aren't able to write queries themselves, they can use the new visual exploration experience to quickly gain insights. So that was a very quick tour of some of the new capabilities in real-time intelligence, with lots more in the release today.
Right. So you could achieve something like this before real-time intelligence, right? It just required you to string together a few technologies, some sort of enable CDC source somewhere, some kind of a real-time stream that you maybe do it with Spark streaming. I don't know, you stream the data, maybe you push that into some sort of a Power BI streaming data set, and then you make your report. This just makes it easier, right? It just makes it easier to approach. And you can, that you can actually, with us, there was a quick show there of Copilot for data engineering, where you actually just ask it in natural language, just give me this information from the event stream, and it would just generate a KQL query for it. That works the same with SQL or like in Fabric Notebooks experience. So this is one area where we were kind of opinionated before build, where we say, thou shall use delta formats, right? It's really good. It's been production ready for a couple of years now. We're getting feedback from customers with petabytes of data. It handles really well. But other customers are saying, you know, it's all great, but I don't want to switch my format, storage format. I already have a lot of data in Iceberg. Iceberg is a open source storage format that has quite a few capabilities on its own. It's older than Delta Lake at this point. You can search for comparisons between these two and which one you may want to use. Basically, all of the comparisons articles that I found are out of date. I found like 10, and all of them are out of date just because things just move really fast, unfortunately. So they can talk about Delta not having this feature or Iceberg still missing that feature, and in reality, they actually do have it. All of them are open. A lot of tools, like open throughout the open source analytics ecosystem, work with both. If you want to choose one, like you're starting like greenfield, nothing existing, right? Just a bunch of data in your internal relational data warehouse, I would recommend Delta just because it's better supported right now by Fabric. It is announced. That means preview. That means missing features. There is a page that actually describes what you can and cannot do from each, like from TSQL to Iceberg format. There are things that are missing in that. So if you need those things, you can do two things. You can look at the Fabric roadmap online. That's the public one. Or you can ask us. So if there's some feature that you know you want, right? I don't know, you want common table expressions over Iceberg, right? And you don't find it in the public roadmap, public Fabric roadmap, come and talk to us. We can see what the engineering team is saying behind the. So there is support for Iceberg format. We also announced a partnership with Snowflake. Snowflake is a cloud-based data warehouse solution that is quite popular today in the world. About I don't know how big it is now in terms of revenue. But we have now support for Iceberg in OneLake, and then we have bidirectional data access. So essentially, if you're using Snowflake and you have data in Snowflake tables and so on, you can just point to it. So you can create like a shortcut there, and you can run queries on top of it. And some of those queries will be run by some Fabric engine. Some of those queries may be run by Snowflake itself. Really, there's some options there. And they're saying seamless access from Copilot. I haven't really tested this, to be honest, because it's kind of new. But essentially, you'll be able to ask Copilot for information about your data, even if your data is not in OneLake, it's in Snowflake, right? And it's bidirectional, so Snowflake itself can also query OneLake. Right? So this is one of the announcements that we had built. So like I said, we have Copilots for Data Factory for building pipelines. We have ETL, ELT. We have Copilot for Data Warehouse for building store procedures and so on. For data science, if you want to build a Spark notebook to train a machine learning model, we have one for real-time intelligence. You saw maybe a little bit there. And we have one for Power BI, right? So this is the one right now that is more geared towards business users. The other ones are for you guys, which I'm assuming you're kind of data people, to make things easier, to work faster. And yes, you can save the query that you created for Copilot. So this may not be completely new. We have a public preview for generative AI on your own data, where essentially you build an AI skill. And what it does, essentially does custom Q&A on your data in Fabric. I'll show you a video. What is this and why is it different from Copilot, those Copilots that you just saw? Those Copilots are basically kind of designed right now to be used inside Fabric, so by people inside Fabric physically, right? Like, I mean, in the Fabric UI. So maybe a BI analyst, maybe some sort of data engineer and so on. This is supposed to be to create a sort of a custom AI assistant that is only responds to some things, to some subset of data that you want to expose and expose that as an endpoint, so you can then use that in your own application. So if you don't build a whole Copilot from scratch, you have some data in your lakehouse. Let me show you exactly how this works.
Let's take a look at how you can bring custom generative AI to your data in Fabric. Let's create a new Fabric item called an AI skill, and let's see what it does. I'm going to name it Loyalty Member Support Insights, because what I want to create is a custom generative AI tool that is an expert that can answer questions about loyalty members and customer support cases. The first thing I'm going to do is to add my data from OneLake. I can just select the lakehouse, and now I can select the specific tables that I want the AI to have access to, and that's it. Let's ask how many support calls we've had from loyalty members, but break it down from the source that the loyalty member joined from. And now behind the scenes, we use our AI models to generate a SQL query and give an answer. Here, we let you put generative AI directly on your data and then integrate it into your own custom solutions. For example, giving your own custom AI solutions the ability to interact with your enterprise data. And the skill is really just focused on what it knows, which in this case is Contoso Outdoors loyalty members' data and support cases. Let's ask another question. Who is the most recent loyalty member to make a support call? And the answer is Angelina Schlitz. This is a good answer, but I'd like to include some supporting info. And this is where I can add some notes for the model on how I want it to behave. I'm going to tell it to include some additional columns when responding about loyalty members. And now let's rerun the question. And this time the answer is bringing in the additional info. Now let's ask for all support calls from Angelina. And here's a list of the calls. Now let's break down all our cases by where they came from. And here's the breakdown. Now let's do one more question. Let's ask for our top 10 loyalty members, and this time we actually got a wrong answer. It just listed the members because it didn't know how to rank them. So if I quickly look at the data in the table that I have, I can see I have a column for lifetime spending. Let's give the model another note to use this column when asking about top ranking members. And now we can get the correct answer. So finally, once I'm happy with the result, I can go ahead and publish this. This experience can give me an endpoint that I can use to send questions to. But this is really an ideal fit for integrating this capability into other RAG-based AI orchestration options to give them access to experts on your data in Fabric. And stay tuned for other ways to integrate and use Fabric AI skills. For example, for building custom copilots in Microsoft Copilot Studio, or to extend Microsoft M365 Copilot. And hopefully, this is giving you an idea of how. Let's take a look at how.
So, kind of a focused AI skill that you can then publish as an endpoint and consume from whatever application you have. And people can ask questions in natural language without you having to build an actual AI assistant with API access and so on. And they can query your lakehouse data or warehouse data. So Power BI Copilot is great if people are in Power BI, right? If you just want to expose something to externals. There is API for GraphQL. We've had some requests for this actually, including from you guys. Basically, the request is I have a bunch of data. I want to expose it as an API, HTTP API, REST API, whatever. So other applications can just consume that. I don't want to spend time and energy building my own. The data sharing that we previously Databricks had is actually didn't work on Fabric, but now we have API for GraphQL. If you've never used GraphQL, GraphQL is a way to quickly describe your data. Just generate this as well. And then some application will do a HTTPS request to an endpoint, and it's one endpoint. It's not REST semantics. So an endpoint for users, an endpoint for customers, an endpoint for something else. It's just like one endpoint. And it has this kind of query language in JSON where you say, I want the project that has the name GraphQL, and I want its tagline attribute. Right? It's a way to specify kind of like SQL over HTTP. If it makes sense. It's not SQL, obviously, right? It's a specific language. And then you get a bunch of JSON back that says this is the project and the tagline is this for that particular one. So it's kind of querying over HTTPS API. So if you actually need to expose all your lakehouses to some vendors, I don't know, some external parties or whatever, via an API, we have now built-in access via GraphQL. And I'm done. Sorry for taking a bit longer than anticipated. We had some technical issues as well. Are there any questions about the build announcements or anything really about Fabric in general?
I do have a question. What's the difference between Azure Data Lake Storage and OneLake?
So data lake storage is platform as a service. You create storages how many you want in different regions, and you manage them separately and so on. OneLake is SaaS, it's software as a service, more like OneDrive. Again, it's just some storage that exists, and you can configure it through the portal to say this workspace is supposed to be in North, I don't know, Europe. This workspace is supposed to be in Asia, whatever. So you can do that, but it's something that is just there, and you pay for the storage that you use on a flat fee, essentially.
But is it a storage or is it just the service that links multiple storages?
Underneath there are multiple storages, but you don't manage that, just like you don't manage the OneDrive underneath, right? It's SaaS, software as a service. That's kind of the main difference. In ADLS, you can create as many, you can create 50 storages, and you can decide, okay, I want to write to this storage, I want to read from that storage. So this is more simplified, right? Any more questions? Yep.
The relationship between workspaces and capacity separated. I mean, you can have as many workspaces as you want, and one capacity.
That's correct. So you can have like 50, 500 workspaces. I don't actually know what the limit is. And you can have multiple capacities, and you can say this capacity is attached to these 3 workspaces. So every workload in that workspace, whether it's a pipeline or a Power BI report or whatever, takes some processing power from the capacity that you assign to that workspace.
Basically, you can assign a capacity to multiple workspaces.
Yeah, you can. Hmm? Multiple workspaces. So there can be 2 reasons for. Right. Yep. So you can have 2 reasons for having multiple capacities. You can have just one, obviously, like a big one, and then everyone uses the same pool. Theoretically, it's easier to optimize cost, I think. But you may want to have multiple capacities if you need to have it in different regions. So capacity is assigned to a region. So you want some data that is in Japan, in OneLake, in some workspace in Japan. You want it to be processed in Japan. You don't want it to go somewhere else. And then you create a capacity for Japan, and you say that this is in the region Japan. Actually, we don't support it in Japan. I shouldn't give this example. Yeah. And the other option, the other reason why you may want to split it is for like internal billing. Like, I don't know, you want to give marketing some capacity and they pay for that separately. You invoice them internally. They say, that's very nice. You have this capacity. You're paying us like this. And these guys have a different capacity. They don't want to pay, right? Whereas if you have a single capacity, it's pretty hard. Actually, I would say it's impossible today to realize how much capacity was used over a month. Maybe they will change it, but right now it's kind of hard. So if you have cross billing requirements, then you want to split it in multiple capacities. I'm not sure if there are any more questions, but I'll be around if you.
This is criteria.
Like splitting in workspaces criteria. So now we have, I didn't have time to include the slides because this is not new from build. We also have data domains. So you have, so the hierarchy is like 2 levels. It's the whole tenant. Then you have data domains. So you can have a data domain, I don't know, finance, right? HR, marketing. That's a data domain, and you can have a data owner for those data or multiple data owners, and curators and data access administrators for each one. And in each of those, you can have multiple workspaces. You have dev, test, prod. You can have whatever you kind of want to split it, right? Usually people split it like that, right? This we didn't have in Power BI. We just had like a flat workspace structure.
Can you use it only in cloud or?
Currently can only use it in cloud. You can connect it to, now we have connections to on-prem data sources, we can have also with some asterisks, not all sources that work. In that case, there is some agent that may deploy. It's basically the enterprise or the enterprise gateway. You know that if you now in Power BI you want to have a hybrid report with data in cloud and data in on-prem, you create an enterprise gateway, which is kind of a Windows service that you deploy in some on-prem server, and then you make the connection, and Power BI actually uses that as a proxy to reach the data on-prem. Right. So there is some compute power that is used from your environment, but it's not.
And basically, because the AI part is only possible in cloud. So if
and AI is only cloud.
Power of what artificial intelligence can do, it's not.
The Copilot is only cloud. Yeah.
Copilot, it's only cloud. Only thing that I would like to add Thank you, sorry, nice to that you.
I need to sit down, yeah.
You can take a break. What we thought in Microsoft is that we are clear now that you are on different stages of implementing a data strategy and you are using multiple solutions. What Microsoft Fabric gives you is the possibility to combine all of this. So, for example, you are now on-prem. Okay, we can connect some of the on-prem data to Fabric, and you can start, or you use Azure Databricks. It's okay. You can build on Azure Databricks, and on phase 2, you can import all the data in Fabric and use the power of Fabric. So it doesn't have to stop your data strategy. You can build it in steps. It's Snowflake now. We announced the partnership with Snowflake. You already did a lot of things, for example, in Snowflake. Don't stop. It's part of your strategy, and later on you can go to Fabric with all of this data and build step by step your data strategy. It's not separate, it's a total universe with Microsoft Fabric that combines all of that. Thank you, Sorin. Take a break.
Thank you.
I have asked Adastra for some use cases because they have the view of a global implementation. What does it mean? How they actually did it with other companies? And thank you both for accepting this and taking the Fabric use cases.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. My name is Lubo Gabal. I'm actually in Adastra for 17 years, so I guess I saw a couple of data solutions implementations. On the Microsoft Fabric use cases, well, I was thinking how to approach it. And in my 17 years career, I can see that the use cases from the business perspective really did not change much in the industries, right? So all of the companies still want to make profits. All of the companies want to save some costs. All of the companies want to make a customer happy. All of the companies want to optimize their supply chain, etc., etc. This is not changing too much over the time. However, what we see that is changing is the patience of the business users and the ability to wait for the results, right? So I guess most of the people in the room are IT, right? So who is IT in the room? Like IT. I guess half of the people at least. So over the last couple of years or even decades, we had this tendency to build these enterprise data solutions, warehouses, lakehouses, etc. This very IT-centric solutions, right? So whenever it came to implementation of enterprise data warehouse, lakehouse, we were spending like months, and I'm talking to myself as well because I consider myself IT as well. So whenever we were discussing what should be the solution for master data management, reference data management, data governance, dependencies management, ETL, etc., for each and every functional block, we were discussing for months what should be the appropriate solution or appropriate technology, right? So this is one thing that we saw in the past that is changing. So business users no longer have this patience to wait for months until we decide how the architecture should look like, right? The second trend that we are seeing is might sound like a buzzword, but this democratization of the data, that's something that we also see. So business people want to work with data. They no longer accept the fact that IT doesn't allow them to run the queries against the data warehouse because the queries are not optimal enough, right? So me as a business person, why should I even care if my query is optimal or not? IT should make a foundation that is allowing me to work with the data. And what we can see that this Microsoft Fabric is actually what we saw with the Copilot and what we saw with this umbrella of the technologies that it's covering or features is addressing exactly this point, right? So no longer need to spend too much time on addressing these functional blocks, and in reality, really enabling this data democratization. So what I will do, I will just mention a couple of reference case studies that we did. Mario was mentioning that Europe is quite conservative when it comes to adoption of the new technology. So almost all of the references that I will mention are from our colleagues from Canada, from North America. But hopefully they are inspirational. So our colleagues or Canadians are generally more eager and aggressive in trying to test new technologies, and that is why these case studies are coming from them. By the way, I'll just finish with the references, then we have a short break, if I'm not mistaken, and Marius will continue with the demo. So first case study, Heritage Grocers Group. There is no message behind the slide. I just like the picture. So this is the grocery chain, Hispanic grocery chain in operating in 6 to 7 different states. They basically doubled the operations where they were buying new grocery stores in the different states, and they were looking for a solution to unify data across their operations. Now, these are exactly the guys who did not have the patience to tell us, okay, now we have 2 years of time to wait for the result for the simple question like what is the best-selling tortilla in the chain. So this is where we implemented Microsoft Fabric as a foundational technology, using also one of our accelerators, which is called Lucid Data Hub. I will talk about it afterwards. So sorry. The use cases that Heritage Grocery Group was seeking for was very common across other industries as well, right? So increasing customer loyalty, increasing the insight, how the shopping basket look like, what are the items that people usually buy together, in order to let them optimize the selling process and optimize the relations with the customers. So this, in fact, in a couple of months, allowed them really to process more than 2 billion POS transactions across all the shops within very reasonable time compared to other technologies. So another case study that we have, Irving Oil, this is basically Canadian Petrom. So here, what we did was basically proof of technology when they were looking for a migration from on-premise data center, leveraging Oracle and Talent as a data engineering tool. They are just looking at this as a strategical option to exit the current data center strategy. The proof of technology, or however we call it, was quite successful. It's not running yet. Equal Bank, so in the industry, again, Canadian bank who are doing quite a lot of acquisitions, and again, looking at a solution which would allow them integrate the data in a single lakehouse platform. Again, we used Microsoft Fabric for self-service capabilities as well. And last one, this is finally European reference, KUKA. KUKA is actually manufacturing of the robots or assembly lines for the automotive producers. So they are actually producing these assembly lines, which they sell to the end customers. They were looking for the solution to support their ESG initiative. I guess this is the topic for most of us, for most of the companies in the room. Some of them resolved them already. Some of them are still resolving them. However, there are companies who still do not have automated solution for the ingestion of the data and completion of the data. You might probably know that Microsoft have quite some accelerators to adopt ESG strategy, like referential data models and sustainability manager to report the footprints. So this is something that we implemented for KUKA, which is German-based company. Now, as I mentioned, we have quite a lot running projects, running proof of concept, proof of technologies, etc., etc. Unfortunately, these are the only ones that we can reference because they are in production-like state. But it's very natural. The product is very fresh, very new. So it's coming with no surprise that we do not have dozens or hundreds of the production implementation of Microsoft Fabric. So that's it regarding references. I guess any questions maybe? I guess we will continue with the break. If I'm wrong, so we will have a short break and then we will continue with Marius demonstrating the tool itself. I guess this is one of the main reasons why you came to see the tool itself, and then we will just finish with a couple of implementation accelerators that we as Adastra are providing to adopt Microsoft Fabric as quickly as possible.
Okay, so probably let's have a 10 minutes or up to 15 minutes of break, take a coffee or some refreshments, and we will see you in 10:30, let's say.
It's
Extended, yes, of course.
Food is still there. Noi putem să facem import la Excel, PDF și toate aceste lucruri pe care le aveți on-prem, doar că le urcă în cloud. Dar le aducem așa în
Later. Dilute a bit.
Și acum este într-un format care restabil, clar, deci trebuie să aducem.
Sunt foarte multe. Nu credeți că sunt doar sunt, toate sunt multe.
Toate datele sunt pe domeniul din ce în ce mai greu de gestionat, din ce în ce mai greu de securitate. Și atunci, ca să aduci totul într-un... trebuie să-și fie și gestionate cu soluții de genul ăsta. Și acolo se pot utiliza. Dar dacă n-au naming, n-au dat.
Salvează sau procesează și dă rezultate făcute?
Depinde ce vrei să faci cu ele. Dacă vrei să faci machine learning, da, se pot și salva.
Da, trebuie să faci machine learning, trebuie
să le interoghezi, de exemplu, și le importi astfel încât un utilizator doar să întrebe datele și atât, nu le salvezi acolo. Da? Le ia, le procesează, răspunde și uită.
Este teribil. Deci s-a dus business analiștii din domeniul business să extragă date exact ca cu sistemele de gestiune a bazelor de date în 1970. Se vede. O perioadă, stăteai o săptămână ca să prinzi un programator, Fortran sau COBOL.
COBOL, da.
Așa? Deci doar ca să-l prinzi. Deci să-l prinzi, să-ți facă treaba. Și mai stătea încă minim o săptămână, două, să scrie programul, să citească fișierul linie cu linie, să facă tokenizarea și la final să răspundă la întrebări de genul îți iau numele Maria într-o bază pe care era un fișier.
Deci interoghezi asta în secundă.
3 săptămâni. Deci nemulțumirea atunci era din partea business, lumea stă prea mult după programatori. Dați CGP de ceva în care ai se poate învăța limbajul secular.
Da.
Și atunci în cel mult ai scris interogarea și acum spui chestia asta pe gură. Deci
este incredibil, pentru că eu știu că proiectele de BI de obicei aveau această în care învățai oamenii din business cum să folosească BI, cum să-și facă dashboard. Și erau luni, mi-aduc aminte că sunt aproape un an în care vrei să facem proiecte.
Și să fie aici la o
mai trebuie întreabă.
Sunt și la comandă.
Chiar tot poate fi exprimat în limbaj natural.
Dar dacă ai scăpat la 80%.
Mai mult de 80% că există regula aceea.
Mă gândeam și eu, dacă 80% din timpul meu l-am salvat.
Oamenii trebuie să facă altceva, nu mai...
Sigur, una activitate.
Teribil. Această prezentare bună, acces la...
Da, dacă
să primim pe live sau venim cu stick ceva.
2006-2007. Și astăzi este DVD.
Și alu Sorin, și alu Lupu.
Este superbă.
Și la moare, nu? Da, în Hercule și tot viseara, dar important este să vadă oamenii că cei care lucrează acolo
cu dezvoltare
personale și pentru... Sunt soluții noi. Acum am venit în zona asta, pentru noi chestia asta care dau predicție ar fi extraordinară. Adică în analiza comportamentală în stocarea datelor.
De fapt, în 2010 a început asta.
Trebuie să începeți măcar cu basic.
Avem și un slide, că din 1950, de fapt, a fost primul.
Și separat, neapărat.
80 a cunoscut un
album. Avem un
și de 2010 spre 2020
Noi am fost crescuți și creați ca să securizăm. Și până s-a ajuns la lumea asta, la programare, și metoda.
de inteligență artificială.
Știi că de acolo trebuie să fie. Deci, învățăm din războiul de la graniță că lucrurile sau sunt clau, se întâmplă altfel. Da? Numai că ce lipsește este relația cu implicația ca să spunem asta atât de puternic, încât nu fac ce faci și adică noi semnăm acorduri alea, am greșit, plătind, dar în momentul în care eu am atâtea date pe care nu mai știu pe unde le-am.
Spre afaceri.
Din atac.
Teorie care
Este.
mult și anume
Dar putem să că cine n-a vrut și că
Domnule activ director, fiecare de ce și-au încercat să
vin băieții ăștia deștepți, până
special.
văd care e frecvența
Ce știu eu că
țară, unde se duce, cu cine intră și proiectele.
să mai fie de a ține conferințe și tu o să informația către
Și vezi dintr-o dată că și ăsta e doar un exemplu banal despre unde pot extrage exfiltrarea. Și dacă exfiltrarea continuă
la
jumătate,
nivel personal, eu simt că trebuie să evoluăm.
suficient să-i conferințezi mai o bani.
Ne vor fi foarte ocupați.
Cine a venit?
Nu mai fim așa.
Trafic. Foarte mult. Chestiile astea trebuie duse undeva unde să fie accesibile. Dar nu mai știm să
Sunt etapele, sunt inovatorii, early adapterii și sunt cei care sunt ultimii care vin să adopte ceva. Vor fi mereu.
Între ele. Multe lucruri.
Sincer, noi avem un singur mare.
Vor fi ultimii, mai greu.
Trebuie să
decizia cea mai bună.
avem soluția aia de la noi.
Da, stânga și eu.
Bine, am un pic o frustrare că a durat cam puțin testare, că până i-am mobilizat și până i-am încălzit un pic pe... Inclusiv eu am făcut câteva... Este să introducem un mediu permanent. Vrem să
puteți testa și astfel de funcționalități și alte produse.
Vrem să migrăm către parte din neclasificat, pe partea de învățământ, pe partea de sănătate. Nu zic, bă, dacă noi suntem în cap, o soluție. Cum să se ocupe domnul Băian, care e destul de des, punem acolo. Fiind datele noastre, dar la alții, oricum deja am acceptat un compromis, să zicem, din perspectiva celor care sunt ancorați în trecut. Și atunci asta ar fi o soluție. Dacă nu, să încercăm acest fondul. Luam în acel manual de utilizarea sociopedagogică, ceea ce am vrut să facem de la început, dar nu ne-au lăsat cauze de ce vă duceți la mai. Nu vă știți, băi, nu mai este. Microsoft are Azure, deci eu de unde să iau?
Ce puteți să vă dau un exemplu? Neavând niciun model de Defender pe mașina Microsoft, era cross-play. Toate astea, complexitatea atacului, acela gen era capabil să detecteze posibilitatea fișiere, hash-urile de la ele, că erau în domeniu. Și o mică tehnologie de hybrid poate să te ajute foarte rapid să iei o decizie, chiar dacă pe mașină să zicem că nu trebuie să nu are nimeni. server într-un container.
Detectiv.
Ce fac cu ea, mă?
Și pui doar cheia.
Server. Este un server. S-a dus starea și
dacă eu ies cu ce specificați cu asta. De la noi, de la securitate, trebuie.
Mai sunt câteva.
Și susținut la achizitor, la...
Aici e foarte simplu, pentru că nimeni de piață nu mai are așa ceva.
Exact. Să vină alții să ofere la asta.
Și ideea...
Exact. Ca să fac repede, că vreau să fac repede aici.
Pe cloud, e mai simplu să începeți.
Ce e asta? Ce fac containerele?
Containerele astea știu să facă mai multe lucruri. Știu să facă traducere, știu să facă conștientizare, mai sunt unele de speech to text, text to speech, dar în principiu cred că cele de... Un minut, vă rog. Da?
Server sau...
Și asta cum vreți să le...
Sunt aceeași informații.
Deci ideea este în felul următor.
Cred că am optimizat partea de storage la toate
serverul ăsta de HC, de exemplu, și containere, are capacitatea de storage. Trebuie să detecte locuri. Ține doar o referință la că se poate reduce până la 70-80% capacitatea de exploatare. Deci partea de duplicare e foarte avansată. Nu folosește romgazul, folosesc toți clienții internaționali.
Putem să discutăm.
Pe care dintre divizii.
Sunt extraordinare că la description să face aia, ca eu să traduc.
Adăugați pentru zona de educație. Să te joci cu soluțiile.
Să nu fie bun. Adică nu mă duc pe de pachet ceva.
Nu o să fie pachet, o să fie subscripție, o să fie containere mai multe.
Și pe multiplicat, adică eu nu să nu am multe. Doar cu ceea ce. De anual, ar putea să zic că, domnule, ia să duc și MFT-ul în zona aia.
Soluția asta.
În asta, e cu comunicarea ta.
Ajută să fac.
Faci ca o notă de fundament.
Așa e. Eu mă duc să răspund la lumea de ce am nevoie, după care zice se reachiziție, da, și mă duc la ăla.
soluții minim. Maximum poate să fie în funcție de volumul necesar, că sunt pe cuvinte, pe caractere, adică
Cererea.
Exact.
Vreau să spune că
aveți nevoie de argumentele ca să fie...
în spate și de la analiză comună că acest memorandum un fundament, e un punct de plecare, e un punct pe care am urcat. V-am spus de la început că suntem o organizație largă. Fiecare zi sunt, să zicem, amonestat că nu produc efect. Sunt legat de
la SRI.
It's great because he's engaged.
La toate evenimentele.
Vreau să...
Puneți piciorul acolo cu ceva de pod. Nu știu.
E asta. Nu știu.
Haideți că
Step to the real things. How it's looking real for real.
For real examples, can we start? Yes. Okay. Hey everyone, my name is Marek Kujaski. I am cloud data Adastra. I will present how we can build typical data workflow, how we can use Fabric to build this typical data journey for data starting from sources through layers or data lake, ending up with data visualization. On screen right now, you can see Fabric GUI. Here we have services such as lakes and signups workhouses. I will start with my bronze lakehouse. This is a place where we can collect our data as files, for instance. We can easily integrate lakehouse with external tools to upload data from our data sources, or we can use data factory to import data from external sources. Since I can use this new pipeline. And here we will see what sources are accessible right now in Fabric. So we can connect to relational databases, to platforms such as, for instance, SAP, Salesforce, or to other storage accounts. And we can use Data Factory to ingest data to data lake and then store data in our bronze side in our data lake. Another place where we can move data after data ingestion is silver layer or lakehouse, where we can store our data as data tables that you can see it here on, let's say, this tables with icons. It's data format. Here we can easily explore the data by clicking on it, but we can also create notebooks. Will help us to explore data, analyze it, or transfer it using Spark SQL. So for instance, I can execute this query using notebook and see what we have in tables. So for instance, here I have some information about applications. These are synthetic data that I generated for this purpose demo. So you can see right now I executed it. We are waiting for cluster start. And after a while, we'll be able to see content of these tables, explore it, manipulate it with our ETL processes. Sometimes we need to a few seconds. Start. To integrate our lakehouse, you can create also something like shortcuts in our data lake. Using shortcuts, we can integrate our data sources with other cloud providers. For instance, we can create shortcuts to GCP or AWS to S3, or another storage account where we store data, for instance, from Databricks, and integrate it with Fabric to create visualization or type of transformations. Back to this. In my workspace, I can have lakehouses. I can have my notebooks. So for instance, I will present a simple transformation that we can build using Spark. So it is typical. I need to import libraries, call it libraries, then I can build my transformation that will read data. Here we have a few options. We can use Pandas or Spark to read data that I have in my landing area, my bronze layer. You can use Python functions, Spark functions to apply on our data frames to transform data required manner. It's something like one source of truth, one component repository on our silver layer that will be accessible for our users. The interesting thing in Fabric is that you can build warehouses that are strictly tied to Spark technology, but we have also options to build warehouses. We'll present it. As you can see, it is very similar to SQL Server. It means that in Synapse warehouse in Fabric, you can use Transact SQL to export data and manipulate the data. So for instance, I can easily create SQL query that will display the data. So if my team first languages is SQL, instead of Spark, I can easily jump into Synapse warehouse and use this language for data manipulation. Same, I can create tables using SQL. I can create procedures to collect code that is responsible for data transformation. So for instance, I can create a simple transformation that will populate my application fact table with different load challenges. So for instance, I can update records or I can just load new records. Also, semantic model that we can build for Power BI. So as you can notice here, we can build star model, star schema model, or snowflake model with fact tables and dimension tables and create relation between them. What is important here that Fabric is really nice integrated with other services. So if I would like to jump to a new report, I can click just on the report. I don't need to create a new connection or create some additional settings or configuration. I can jump to the report. I can select the visual. And then for instance, I check some information about my clients, like for instance, page. Yeah. So after a few clicks, I can explore my data using Power BI. Now I try to present you how we can work also with Copilot in Power BI. Here I have some real data based on created based on prices. Second, many items. I need to close a few. Open new report. So I need to reload. Fortunately, I should have here Copilot icon. So, common in presentations. You want to show something? The problem with this icon. If here this Copilot icon, I don't know it's not there, but I have any recording. I can demonstrate you how Copilot works. We can ask Copilot, if we open Power BI report, we can ask Copilot to suggest some reports, default reports, and then we can easily select, ask Copilot to generate report for us. So for instance, information like different trends relation between apartment price and interest rates, or in relation to salaries. And as you can see, Copilot quickly generates reports, dashboards. So we have, for instance, filters, so we can easily apply changes to select the interesting us time frame. Now here I'm asking Copilot to generate a report for prompt. So I asked it to create a page that it will investigate influence of USD apartment prices. We ask another prompt, for example, apartment prices. Apartment prices in USD and in gold. And salaries. Now we need to wait a few minutes to process this request. It takes a while, but of course it is much faster than creating these reports from scratch. So, in the meantime, we can explore this report or manipulate it or change content. After a while, as you can see, our new dashboard was generated based on my prompt. Another interesting feature in Copilot is that I can ask Copilot to draw conclusions. So for instance, on this report, I have information about interest rates and flat prices. And I asked here Copilot to draw conclusions. And as you can see, it's quite useful. So we can use this description to add it directly to our presentation or analyze it together with Copilot. So, some meaningful conclusions. Another example is to how Copilot will draw conclusions in context of year-to-year change and average salary change. Meantime, I can adjust format of this report. Yeah, and again, I have meaningful description from Copilot.
Data to words, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we lack the creativity to write in words what we have in the data.
So if we need a text, for instance, to pass for our presentation or send some information to our boss, we can quickly use Copilot to extract this information from our visuals and send it or add to our presentations. Check if Copilot. It is here. Okay. So I will demonstrate one example on, for instance, as we can for suggesting content for this report. I can ask just about flat prices in relation to price. I can ask to let me this classification, but get similar example. Here I ask for top 3 dates with highest apartment price.
I understand from here is that any department can use this, like HR can ask about
Yeah.
the salaries, sellers can ask about the prices and the increase.
Exactly. So if you have some real data in your organization about clients, about HR data, about transactions, whatever, we can build reports, ask about conclusions, or we can ask Copilot to, based on this data model, to build visualization for us.
And you know, the most common question is, okay, I have this data in a huge Excel. How can I start asking about those data? Is this the use case that it's usually happening?
Exactly. So as you can see, with Copilot, we can speed up our work to build meaningful visualizations and ask also for summarization of this data or visual creation. Do you have some questions about this part?
I think it will be valuable to understand from the room what use case do they have in mind, or maybe something that we can show them for real. I was asking the one with, I have a huge Excel, I want to interrogate it. I think that's the easiest one, right? To import an Excel and query the data on real language or natural language. But as simple as it seems, it's something that I think 90% of us are facing right now. Somebody from a department, I don't know where, has all the data in an Excel file. So how about giving them the opportunity to build their own data interrogation or analytics or whatever they need? Not asking all the time for the BI department or the IT guys, so please help me with a report.
Yeah, so using Data Factory, you can load the data from Excel. We have also options to go to our bronze house and directly upload files or Lakehouse using just upload file. So as you can see, for instance, here I have one Excel file, and then if I'm familiar with Python, for instance, let's say it's preferable for me to build use PyPy. I can load this data to my Fabric to a data set, and then save it as a table accessible in my bronze layer, silver layer, sorry.
I think that the use cases that we are looking at using Copilot are not really really people or business users that would be very rigid about the reporting that they want to achieve. So it's not typically controlling or risk people who know exactly how the report should look like.
No, we
have the description.
Control this,
So
interrogate it.
Typically, this would be the people that would like to, I don't know, see their customer portfolio, and they do not even know exactly what they are looking for or what they are looking at. They just want to see the customer portfolio from different perspectives, right? So what is the geographical location of the customer? What is the age? What is their wealth? What is the I don't know, shopping basket profile? What is the behavioral profile of the customers? So this would be the typical case, asking the suggestion for a different point of views at the same thing. So this would be typically, I don't know, salespeople, marketing people, and not too IT heavy heavy people that know exactly and that they can create their selects themselves. So that's my opinion. This is a really useful feature for this kind of the end users. I don't know whether the colleagues in the
Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead, ladies first.
After. One question, the conclusions that we noticed there was a drop in the apartment prices, as I saw between 2008 and 2012. I think I noticed this type of conclusion, but this information is strictly based on the data that it's analyzing, right? Is there any possibility that conclusions take also into consideration some other information from the web, some web-based information, a pure AI saying that, look, this might have been caused by the crisis in real estate, which was the case probably. Is there any possibility to have such integrations with broader information rather than just looking at the data that it's consuming?
I think it depends on model capabilities. Or we'll have integration with external data sources.
And that's my opinion that from the machine learning and artificial intelligence perspective, yes, that's possible. Of course, you can look at the correlations of the external data with whatever internal data are you collecting. The issue typically is with the availability of the external data and the literally availability. Are you able to find the source of the data that you are looking for? Like market signals, etc., etc. So this is not even related to the technology or capabilities of the machine learning model, but rather really making the data availability by someone, by third party, by state, or whatever you are looking at, right? But from the technological perspective, I guess that's all possible, and yeah.
From the technology perspective, it's ingestion of data. But if you let them wander for the whole web, it will give you stupid answers for sure.
Because thinking more to ChatGPT, for instance, I would actually also why do you just let apartment drop in 2008?
Sometimes
Yeah, but
the risk of getting real answers, it's quite tough. What we usually do is ground those data. So you select the sources that are trustful, like this site web or this source of information. When you take the, I don't know, converter for a USD to euro, you go to a national bank site. Yes, this example, you connect the data to a specific data source, not all the World Wide Web, but because the chances that you get a incorrect answer are quite high. GPT is also connected to the World Wide Web. So answers that could not be correct.
Yeah, but if I can interrupt in reference to ChatGPT, in context of ChatGPT, you can copy paste this chat to ChatGPT and it will describe it. But in case of Copilot, it will analyze your entire model.
Yeah.
All information that you collected in your model will be analyzed by Copilot, and if you ask about anything, it will answer.
But I thought the question was in the direction if Copilot is taking the information to create the conclusion outside our data or only based on our data.
Yeah, precisely.
Based on my observation, I can see that it does it based on all the data model.
Only on the data.
Yeah.
Yours first.
Do you still have the question? Yeah. Okay.
So, my question is when it's a hybrid cloud solution is applied, this tool can read the data from both on-prem and external cloud.
Yeah, using.
I mean, to have a one
Exactly.
integrated image of the data you are interested in.
Using Fabric, we have these options to use Data Factory to integrate data, or we can create these shortcuts that I mentioned. So shortcuts, it can be points that we read data directly from AWS S3 or GCP or another account in Azure. So you don't need to move data between these one storage to another storage, and directly read data from external source. So basically, you can create one place where you can connect data. If you want to build multi-cloud organization, Fabric will help you with that. So you can collect data from different sources to build your data model, and then use our BA to visualize the data or Copilot to ask about anything.
But for the data, you first need to it on lake. You cannot access directly from, I don't know, with shortcut or mirroring.
No.
Do you have any use case for no?
Okay. Do you have some other questions? Yeah.
Yes, let's say some users have the access to semantic models that is defined on that level, and they want to join with data coming from that semantic model their own files containing, I don't know, some specific attributes, calculations, and so on. Is it possible to do it like in personal workspace here to join that data coming from the company, yes, official semantic models and their personal files. One more thing, because what I see, it's somehow possible if we have the access to the warehouse and we can create those shortcuts and create our own model. But in that case, if we join the warehouse data, let's say, I see some danger for data governance because in that case, user doesn't have, let's say, access to the definitions of the specific measures and so on. So, and because those definitions are kept in semantic models, and is it so? In that case, is it possible to have the access to semantic model and add to the model in personal workspace some specific data?
I think answer for that would be to collect data, for instance, in the Lakehouse, create data type books for user, and then we can use something like SQL endpoint.
Okay, but in SQL endpoint, in fact, we cannot define measures. That if we
Yeah, but it will be a layer that could help us to access data between our semantic model and data that we have in our Lakehouse.
Okay, but it's clear for me, yes. So, but still, I'm a little bit afraid about data governance in case of the predefined KPIs and measures.
Okay. In context of Lakehouse, yeah, we can collect this data and then we use semantic models to uncover it, yet with one common model.
Okay, so in that case, we could have the live connection to given semantic model and import to the our semantic model some data and join somehow possible.
Semantic, yeah, we can define different types of connections. So like this direct query or import. So we have these options.
Why am I asking? Because very often people from the departments want to join some data. Yes, are too, let's say, changeable and different between even some people in department to make some standardization and upload them on a regular basis. So in fact, it could work if it would be possible.
Okay, so for business users, there is also options to use Data Factory Region 2, where is options to, for instance, it's simple drag and drop processes to import data from different sources and put it together. It's a data model for user purpose. Also answer for that.
Say some workaround accepted.
Yeah, it depends on the use cases and your requirements. Because here we need to deal whether we are giving flexibility to users to build what they want. We want to build something more central.
I want to keep, say, that access they have now. But by flexibility, I mean that they have the possibility to join something specific just for them. Yes, what is not available in, I don't know, in data warehouses, in some ERP systems, and they cannot use it on a regular and standardized way. So that's the question. Yes, in use case for us.
Here we have, as I say, we can use data flow gen 2. We can use notebooks to integrate these data together. So in general, in lakehouses, we can collect these files from different sources. So user could have their own lakehouse to collect data.
Okay, not that regular user will not do that. Yes, he will be able to use the model that is already defined, potentially import some file and join it, but nothing more. So
You're seeing maybe it's also the level of the freedom that you typically want to give to your end users. When I was talking about this democratization, of course, the ultimate goal would be everything. that's typically not possible, right? You still need to have some common foundation of the metrics and measures that you want to report commonly across the organization, right? So we do not want even to give the freedom to define it by the definition. If you're asking about the technological options just to enrich the commonly defined metrics with something that is defined or calculated or collected or whatever by user, and ability to split these measures technologically in Fabric, I'm pretty sure that's possible if that's your question. Right?
Yeah, okay, but if it's quite somehow easy to do it by end user, so if I think in that case we need some technical user, let's say business, more technically advanced user in department to do it for other people in the department. Or to
True, maybe we can discuss it.
Yeah,
maybe we can discuss later.
Thank you, Zbit, because actually he is quite advanced in the Fabric world, and we thank you for that. I think your questions are deep dive that we need a special separate session to address them.
I will keep myself quiet.
No.
Oh,
That's what I meant. I was trying to congratulate you for.
No, I have a lot more questions, yes, but I don't want to disturb your presentation, so.
Don't worry. Okay, we will take after the presentation a discussion with you to address all of this.
Eventually, on your flight back home to Warsaw, because we are directing.
I'm flying tomorrow. I will fly tomorrow.
Okay, so. Okay, I remember that there were questions about also Fabric capacity. So if we go to Azure portal, we can go to resource group where we have defined capacity. So we can define different capacities for different workspaces. For instance, there's need for that. You can easily go to capacity and stop it. So then we don't pay for it. And workspaces, you can go to settings. Then we can easily assign a specific capacity to workspace. As you can see, for instance, here I have this SKU F64.
Do we have any split for the cost based on the resources that are accessing are using that capacity? As we have in the subscription and we have the split for each, I don't know, function up, logic up, and so on? Or it's the entire cost?
For each workload, we have separate costs. Can you see it?
If we can see the cost split on the resources that are in that capacity.
To be honest, I didn't analyze it. Options. But it's something that I can check and I can let you know. Because to be honest, I didn't check it in this way. Yeah.
I have also some question related about resources within given capacity. Yes, resources are shared by all the services included in Fabric. But let's say we have some parts of the day when we have import of the data or ingestion of the data to Fabric. And in fact, activity of the users can somehow impact performance of those workloads. Is it separate? Is it possible to distinguish or to separate some resources and reserve them just for those workloads, and to avoid situation when the activity of the users will impact performance of the ingestion?
Okay. Right now, I could imagine scenario that we could create another workspace for this purpose, for instance, to process data, and then for another for consumption. There's also option to change size of this capacity. So if we want, we can change.
But if you have 400 users, they will consume everything what will be available. So that's why I'm asking. This is
yes. So it is something that we need to reflect on this, how we can organize our public environment, cover such needs.
We have different capacities one for the that are.
As you can see, if I go to
No, I know that we can have. I was referring to what to the question. I mean, to have the Power BI in one capacity and to have all the pipelines and stuff that are in ingestion separately in a different capacity.
we can define different size of capacity for, so as you can see, here I have these capacity resources. So I can define different size for this capacity for each of them. Then I can assign it to different workspaces.
Yeah, it is somehow workaround, but you will have to create some shortcuts in the capacity that you have for the pipelines flow to the destination. And yeah, maybe it could work.
Do we have some other questions?
Is there a limitation of resources per type of capacity? I mean, if you get the lowest capacity from a price perspective, you cannot use.
Yeah, there are limitations that are described in the documentation.
So there are limitations, right?
So for instance,
the compute that you scale up and down, it's also.
For instance, to use Copilot, you need F64.
Okay. But the basic capabilities like I don't know, ingestion data factory, warehouse, lake house, stuff like that.
This is detailed questions, and I would need to look into.
Okay, no worries. But there is, so it's not just scaling up of resources; it's also capabilities of those capacities. Okay. And just one more question regarding the warehouse. That's the same implementation as the Synapse SQL dedicated pool. So it's a distributed SQL warehouse.
Synapse, we had two types. We had this dedicated pool. We can manage using. And another option was to use serverless. So in Synapse serverless version is here we have this Synapse warehouse, this similar engine.
So the warehouse is the serverless implementation, not the SQL dedicated.
So it's sort of serverless. So we have this separation between computer and storage. So data in warehouse, if we go to warehouse, this is what we say about one leg. So if I click on a table, data table, here you can find location on one leg. So in general, you can access to this data without Synapse warehouse.
And it's also Delta, I see also
Delta format. Yeah, okay. It's open data format, so you can easily access without workspace if you need in some scenarios.
How is it to integrate what we have already developed for different projects in Databricks, in Matrix Data Factory, or Synapse to Fabric? And I'm not referring to the data.
Can you repeat the question, maybe?
How easy is to, or if it is a possibility to migrate what is developed already for other projects in different other Synapse in data?
Actually, very good question, and we have two accelerators that I will present right after the session. But I can speak about one of them right away. One of the accelerators that we developed internally in Adastra, it's called Adel. It is exactly for the purposes of the migration of the legacy data pipelines from whatever legacy solution, not whatever. I have to say that there are some limitations and mainstream that we are supporting, but we are very often facing the situation when the customer is either deciding to keep legacy solutions, whatever they are, as is until they die from the license perspective, from the technological perspective, etc. And we are very often seeing that they are getting out of the support for ODI or for Informatica or for database or something. This is exactly where we wanted to support the accelerator, this Adel, which is basically replatforming from the legacy technologies into a couple of target solutions, and some of them is Azure Data Factory. Fabric data factory is slightly different to ADF. We are supporting PySpark in case of the customers that are slightly afraid of vendor lock-in. So sorry for saying that in front of Microsoft colleagues, but unfortunately we have to reflect also on this requirement that once they simply do not want to be logged in, right? So PySpark is typically the solution which you can move between different hyperscalers. and this we support quite heavily. By the way, I have to say that conversion to PySpark is very heavily supported by ChatGPT and OpenAI functionalities, which basically support the rewriting of the code from proper SQL into PySpark notation. ADF and Data Factory, both Azure Data Factory and Fabric one, we are supporting through generation of the XMLs, which are in fact standing behind data pipelines in the. So this is basically the accelerator that we implemented in order to support this migration, right? Depending on the strategy that you choose, either sometimes you go simply lift and shift, right? So if you have an Oracle solution, sometimes you just decide to run Oracle in Azure, right? So you do not do anything when it comes to refactoring. Some of the customers decide that whenever they are doing some changes to the solution, they're already implementing them in the target technology. So different strategies, and we are trying to support this one with this accelerator.
And I mean, it's used in a way that you want to quickly migrate the Azure, so you do just really platforming, keeping the legacy logic, but then you typically want to modernize because what was built 20 years ago is probably not reflecting the existing business, but it speed up the modernization because this massive job is automatized. You don't need the manpower to change the Oracle SQL to data pipelines in Azure.
I will add into the concept of Databricks that Microsoft is planning to do integration between using a unit catalog. So there will be various of options to integrate with Databricks. Last thing that I would like to show you is how we can use streaming in our processes. Here I have a stream that I built for this demo purpose. Here, let's assume that it is IoT device that is checking, that is sending information about IIS position. So it could be also your car fleet, information about shops, whatever from factory, whatever information from your IoT devices that you can collect using Streaming Fabric. Then we have streaming service that is responsible for collecting data and also is able to transfer it. I click here. So that if we go to advanced, here we can build our transformations that we can receive JSON or unstructured data from our IT devices, and then using these transformations, we can transfer it to required shape and collect this data in delta tables. And at the end, we can build reports and consume this data using Power BI. Second, we should see current position of IIS. From the public, second time. I have the impression that there is some kind of network issue right now. But here you can see this data illustrated on an app. So using this stream, I collected information from my IoT device, and after that, you can present it on map. So it could be also car fleet or whatever indicator that you are interested in. Okay, and that's all from my side.
Thank you very much, super. You want to show the accelerators?
Can you share the presentation?
We have 10 minutes, if you are okay.
I can be even shorter.
Yeah, perfect. What Adastra did is develop some accelerators for your request when you need to migrate something and do fast some things. On top of our Microsoft technology, developed some solution that can easy your work.
Yeah. So the one, generally speaking, we see two trends how cloud technologies are being adopted and probably will be adopted either for the greenfield implementations, which we do not honestly see that often because in this very educated industries and very advanced industries, we barely see the build up of completely new solution like new warehouse. But there are some, especially when the organization is growing from the mergers and acquisitions perspective. This is typically the moment where you decide to build a central platform, or basically modernization of the existing solutions. Where, as I thought, there are several approaches how to do that. So lift and shift, rebuilding, refactoring, re-architecting, or repurchasing. I like the word drop and shop. So meaning getting rid of the existing solution and building it from scratch, which we do not see too often. But whenever we are discussing with the customers, like what is the biggest challenge or obstacle for the migration, of course, it's cost of the migration and not the cost of migration of the data. This is typically, and I don't want to downplay the complexity of the task, but this is typically less complex solution. The complication comes with the logic of the data solution, so all the ETLs, data pipelines, models, etc., etc. So we are addressing this through the accelerator that I just mentioned, which we call Adele, where basically we are able to comprehend the logic of the major legacy technologies, supporting all the Oracles, Informatica, Teradata, etc. So proper SQL like stored procedures and ETLs, and some of the technologies to parse the metadata, understand the logic, lineage of the mappings, etc., and then automatically generate, and in some cases even deploy the pipelines in the target technology. So the one that I was mentioning previously. So Azure Data Factory, PySpark, Apache Spark, and Microsoft Fabric. These are most common use cases these days. So what we are saying, we are saving quite majority of the efforts related to the migration. For sure, there will be a question if we are able to migrate 100% of the jobs. The answer is no. There are always some specifics which need to be tackled like manually because in every single organization there is some hacker who did ETL so complicated that no single parser will be able to comprehend it and migrate it automatically. So we have it proven in a couple of implementations. The saving in the refactoring is really major. So it's starting at 50% plus. So this is how we are trying to really mitigate these efforts. Basically, the biggest effort for the adoption of the cloud like Fabric for the legacy.
And maybe also, sorry, flipping, but the major benefit is that the biggest problem in every organization, who build the code? Where is the documentation? Not existing because typically all data warehouses are decade, 2 decades old. Yeah? So the fantastic about this concept is that we use the Gen AI to make the job of asking someone who is not present in the company anymore. Yeah? So okay, even it's not 100%, if we save for 50 to 80% of the efforts, it's still worth it. So it's also impacting the level of cooperation which we need.
Maybe we are wrong. So who has the documentation which is 100 up to date with the code itself? For all the organization. Okay, so this is one accelerator that we built. The other one for the greenfield implementation is something that we call UC Data Hub. maybe appropriate slide for that one. Anyway, I'll speak about it anyway. The Heritage Grocers Group that I was mentioning, where we built the solution from scratch, was using this Lucid. What does it do? So again, leveraging on Gen AI capabilities to come up with, or one step back. Typical implementation of the data warehouse requires like bringing or building referential data model, right? So taking into consideration the appropriate entities based on the industry. So in banking, we are talking about banking product. In retail, we are talking about the product sold. In telco, we are talking TDRs. In oil and gas, we are talking about different units. So every industry has its own specifics. And what Lucid Data Warehouse is doing, it's bringing this industrial context knowledge for the suggestion of the referential data model that is automatically suggested by the solution, so it doesn't need to be built from scratch by the architects, modelers, or analysts. And on top of that, it analyzes, again leveraging ChatGPT capabilities, analyzes the source of the data, which are of course provided by the developer or analyst doing the job. But then Lucid Data Hub automatically scans the source data, structure of the data, suggests and enriches this referential data model, and it's even suggesting the eventual mappings for the data pipelines from the sources to this referential data model. So this is basically the way how this is speeding up the adoption of Microsoft Fabric for the greenfield implementations, not for the migration cases. So this Heritage Grocers Group was one of the projects using this accelerator. By the way, I didn't mention one fact that this Heritage Grocers Group won an award in Canada as one of the most innovative projects in the industry this year. So it was Adastra together with Microsoft in Canada. So this is another accelerator. Just maybe just to mention at the end of the session. Yeah, basically, Mario said what we are doing as an organization. When it comes to this entire journey, we are able to support you with strategical decisions, strategical architectures of the solutions that we are trying to build, again, together with very hands-on physical delivery of the solutions themselves. So whenever you are facing some issue with the capacity, knowledge, architecture, experiences, we are here to help. Like not only to Fabric. It's from my side.
Thank you.
Questions?
That concludes our day. I feel like Microsoft Fabric, it's a topic not for 2 hours, it's a topic for a week. I understand it's a complex solution. What we wanted to do today is just a glimpse for you how and what you can do in the further period. For us, Microsoft, this is quite a bet. We put in our product group a huge team that is taking care of Microsoft Fabric. We are listening to our customers, have their feedback, implement as we go the solution. So you can shape the solution. If you give us a feedback, what you really need, we take to the product group this information. It can appear in the next period in the product, which is a great thing that we can do today. And I hope you felt inspired, but for what we said today. And together with Adastra, we invite you to start the discussion with us. Write us, give us a chance to have a one-on-one so we can build together the future of data. For now, that's all. Thank you very much for coming. I felt amazing with you guys. We also have the food outside. If you want to stay a couple more minutes, we can still drink some coffee, have some discussions. And anytime you want to come to Microsoft, the doors are open. Thank you.
The meeting is here. Yes.
Prigione, ma si concede.
I would assume so. More frequently, yeah.